All right, everybody, welcome back. We have Pokemon Alpha Sapphire, run by the incomparable, the legend of speed doc folklore, if I can get a word out. Etiquette. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you doing?
We are living the dream here at Launch Party. We're excited for your run, and I will turn it over to your very capable hands.
All right, sounds good. So, first of all, thank you guys all for donating for the bid war. We did have an Alpha Sapphire versus Omega Ruby bid war. The two games do have very similar routes, but with some key differences that we'll definitely make sure to point out in the run. You guys chose Alpha Sapphire, which is, in my opinion, the worst of the two, but it's what you guys donated for, so that's what we're going to do. And without waiting too much, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So time will start in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so this is Pokemon Alpha Sapphire. This is the Generation 6 remake of the Generation 3 game, Pokemon Sapphire. This is the Hoenn region. Most people know of this game because of the nice meme from the review season of 7.8 out of 10, too much water. That will come into play a lot in the run. There's a bit of surfing and a lot of water related things that we're going to be doing, so that should be a good time. Right off the bat, one of the things that we're going to have to do is get our starter. So the starter we choose in this run is going to be Mudkip, and there is no RNG manipulation in this game. A lot of the earlier Pokemon games have RNG manipulation to guarantee good starter, good main Pokemon, stuff like that. We don't have that, so we're going to have to basically save in front of the bag, pick a Mudkip, and hope it's good. If it's not good, we'll reset. Overall, it shouldn't take too much, but we'll see how that goes. First thing here, we're going to pick the girl trainer. It is actually imperative that we pick the girl. There are differences between the two that I'll explain in a little bit. And yeah, aside from that, we just sort of have to get through this little intro here. It's about 5 minutes before we get our starter. But once we get that, things will pick up quite a bit. So first thing we do, like most Pokemon speedruns, we will set our options. 4 options there. Fast text speed. We turn animations off. We turn our battle style to set, which basically means that if you have it set to switch, which is the default, every time you defeat a Pokemon in battle, the game will ask you, it'll be like, oh, you know, youngster Josh is sending out his Rattata. Do you want to switch Pokemon? Since we don't want to, it is faster for us to turn that off. There are very few exceptions to that. None in this game, but there are very few exceptions to that in Pokemon speedrunning. So you usually set that to set. And the last option I did was L equals A. And L equals A is a kind of a neat option for the DS and 3DS games. Actually, I think even the GBA games have it as well. And basically what it does is it allows us to use the L button, or the essentially like the bumper, the left bumper, as an A button. And one of the differences between how that works in this game versus some of the other ones is it treats the L and A button as the same button, which means if I'm holding down L, I can't hit A. Like, A won't register. So the primary way that we're going to be mashing in this game to advance text is you need to hold down either A or B, mash the other one, and also mash the touchscreen. So the easiest way that I find to do that is to hold down L as an A button, mash B, and then mash the touchscreen as well. It is kind of uncomfortable, but you get used to it once you get going. just some really basic intro stuff. This is Brendan. He's our rival. If we had picked the boy, we would have been playing as Brendan, and May would have been our rival. And I honestly don't remember the last time I picked the boy in this game. You like live in this house instead of the other house, and so the entire movement in the first 5 minutes is backward. It's very confusing. Alright, so gonna go ahead and head up to the next route. This is where we're gonna get our first Pokemon. Like I said, I'm gonna save here. Hopefully we won't take too many tries to get ourselves a runnable Mudkip. What we're looking for with our Mudkip are actually quite a few stats. Sometimes you only care about 1 or 2 stats. Here we actually care about 4 of our 6. We need to see 12 attack, 10 special attack, 10 defense, and 9 speed. For anyone who's familiar with Pokemon, that just means I need a non-minus nature in attack, special attack, or defense. And if I have minus speed, it needs to be higher than lower. So that right there, I had 8 speed. Everything else was good. So I need to reset that. Normally we allow slightly worse stats, actually, than I am now. The only problem is if we take worse defense or special attack than I'm looking for here, then there's a chance that it's unrunnable on the next level up. So I just don't want to take that chance. It's about 50-50 for each of those stats. But this one here, this one is okay. It'll certainly do. And you're going to hear me talking about my stats a lot. There are 2 main things that we're going to be talking about. It's going to be our IVs, which stand for individual values, as well as our nature. So nature is easier to explain, so I'll do that first. Basically, there are 25 natures that you can have. They are 5 of them are neutral, which means there are no effects whatsoever. And the rest of them are all going to include one stat that is boosted and one stat that is hindered. So you'll hear me say like, oh, plus attack minus defense. And basically all that means is there's an extra 10% added or subtracted from the stat after the calculation is done. IVs are individual values, and those are going to be a number between 0 and 31 that indicate how good the stat is. The higher the number, the better the stat. And so the Mudkip I have right now should be a quiet nature, which means it is plus special attack and minus speed. Both special attack and speed are on the high end. Basically from 20 to 31 IV. And the attack, defense, and special defense are kind of low. Attack is probably the most important stat when it comes to like wasting time. Special attack and defense are very important when it comes to like living through fights. And you'll see that quite early on. There are a lot of fights that go horribly wrong sometimes in the early game, so our special attack and defense are very important for that. So all of these encounters here are useless. It's not like some other games where you can fight them for extra experience. We could do that, but the extra experience wouldn't really help us unless we fought a lot of them, and fighting a lot of them would be fairly slow, so we're not going to do that. And this is our first rival battle. This battle is more or less impossible to die. I think technically you could die. But it would be kind of difficult to do so. with our attack being what it is, we should 3-shot. It's possible for it to not 3-shot, but it ends up being like a... What would it be? It's like 99% range to 3-shot, so you're almost always going to get it. And I'll get a better look at my stats here. Okay. So, this Mudkip is pretty bad. But I mean, would it really be a marathon run if it wasn't this bad? Exactly. Either a bad Mudkip or we reset for 20 minutes. There are times... So normally I don't check the stats at level 5. I just wait until that rival battle to check the stats. And there are times where you can go actually like hours without seeing a runnable Mudkip. So it is fine. There are strategies basically to mitigate the lower stats that I have. Honestly, all my stats are fine except for my attack, so... and like I mentioned earlier, attack more or less is important because you can waste time. It's not like you're going to be really like dying on fights because of your bad attack. There are some fights that are pretty bad, but we should be fine. More tutorial kind of stuff here. And we have one more fight that's basically free before we get into the first of the fights I'm going to have to save for. I'm going to have to save for quite a few fights in this run. Well, luckily this is not one of them. With my bad attack, actually it's better for me to water gun here. So every level up, I'm going to be checking my stats a little bit. I'm not going to spend as long looking at them as normal. Basically, I can look at the stats here and see like the +0, +1, or +2s. So there I got all +1s. So I know basically how my stat is progressing. There are external resources we have created by another member of the community named Wartab that are IV calculators. So we basically throw our stats in as we level up, and it'll spit out what IVs we have. And so this is really useful because the IV is essentially, it's a hidden number. It's a hidden value that we don't ever have a chance of actually seeing. But there are times where we want to make informed decisions based on the exact value. Like, I know right now with how my speed has progressed, there is a chance that I will be outsped by a fight in 30 minutes. And so by knowing that kind of information, we can do things like take different or buy different items in shops, or you know, a variety of different strategies like that. So it's really important information to have for the run. The run would be doable without the, you know, IV calculators, but it would be probably less optimized. You'd be constantly looking at your actual stat number to know, and by the time you see the stat number, it might be too late. Alright, so catch tutorial here. Since this is also a question that gets asked a lot, actually it's a two-part question. No, the Ralts here cannot be shiny. In Generation 3 it could be, it cannot be here. And also no, it's not possible for the Ralts to die. That was also something that was possible in Gen 3. The fight is a bit more scripted now than it was then, so there is no chance of it dying. Alright, so after that catch tutorial, we are finally on our way. So this is Norman. Norman is our dad in the game. And he is actually a gym leader. However, he won't allow us to fight him to gain the badge unless we have 4 badges. So we're going to go to a different city that has a gym. One with a bit of a nicer gym leader. Oh, wow. Unlucky to get an encounter there. There are like 3 stretches of grass back to back to back that are all either like 2 or 3 tiles. And anytime you get an encounter in one of those, it just feels horrible. Alright, I'm actually going to go ahead and save here. This is... So one of the reasons why I'm going to be a little bit more liberal with my saving in the early game is... The first Pokemon Center we enter in this game, or in the speedrun, will be the one before Victory Road, like at the very end of the game. You don't enter any Pokemon Centers, which means if you die, if your party faints, you go back to Mom's house. And before you get Fly, that is a really big deal. Hoenn is not exactly the most linear region. So you have to take an extremely long path to get back to where you were. We're not too far from home now, but it's always better, in my opinion, to just play it safe with something like this. It's very easy to die to this fight. This Poochyena has Sand Attack. It hits pretty hard. And it also has Howl, which will boost its attack, so it'll hit even harder, but luckily I was able to get through that with only 1 miss. Another thing that's really nice about the early game is you get a couple of free heals. Basically, this guy here is going to heal up my party. So even though I was at kind of low health, I no longer am. And we're going to go ahead and pass this guy. This is our first spinner of the run. I don't like stopping for this guy. So, okay. Spinners in this game are very easy to pass. Basically, a spinner is a trainer that can change the direction it's facing. They're pretty notable in like Gen 2 for just going absolutely wild. Crazy fast. And in Generation 3, they're really cool because you can actually manipulate them. So basically the game has the spinners can like quote unquote hear you. And if you're running, then they're going to turn the direction that you are. So that you can have some like really cool manipulation where you like run while you're a little bit further away from the spinner, and then start walking to actually get past it. You guys will see that later on. I think Amoeba's doing Pokemon Emerald later in the event, so you'll see a lot of that there. It's actually really impressive movement tech. In Generation 6, they kind of changed it, so there's no longer the ability for spinners to hear you. You can just run past them. So what that means is the spinners are actually very easy to pass. You just have to wait until they turn, and then they can't turn fast enough for them to see you. That one spinner there is kind of inconsequential to hit. So there's really no harm in just running right past them without any sort of caution. I'm going to fight an optional here in the gym, and I would basically just skip this optional if I were to hit that spinner. All right. And then here is our first gym leader. I'm going to go ahead and save. Again, not the most dangerous fight in the world, but she does have the option of critting us, like getting a critical hit on us at a really inopportune time. So it's better in general to just save. So Roxanne has two Pokemon. She has a Geodude and a Nosepass. We are a Water-type Pokemon, so we actually have the type advantage against both of them. What we're going to do here is we're going to purposely knock this Geodude down into heal range. Geodude has an ability called Sturdy, which means it cannot be knocked out from full health. We purposely knock it into heal range because Roxanne has one potion, and she'll use it whenever a Pokemon is below 25% health. Geodude is really easy for us to take out. So we'd rather she heal the Geodude that we can then just KO the next turn. Then heal this, which is the Nosepass. Nosepass is not the most powerful Pokemon. However, in order to guarantee a 3-shot, we have to get 2 hits in Torrent. Torrent is our ability. And there we go. All right, so Torrent's an ability that will increase the power of Water-type moves when you're below 1/3 health. I got knocked down to 10 out of 30 health there, which meant I was in Torrent, so everything was good. If I was not in Torrent for that hit, it probably would not have died. But that's the first gym leader down. Don't worry. We still have many more dangerous fights to go. The early game in this game is brutal. All right. Alright, so this route here has a couple of optional trainers on it, and some weird movement through the grass. You want to try to maximize or minimize the number of steps in grass. So I'm going to be taking this weird looking path, and I'm going to fight this guy. This guy is the second and final optional that we're going to be purposely fighting in the run. He has 2 Geodudes, and as we saw with Roxanne and the trainer before, Geodudes are very easy for us to take out, so this is basically just free experience. We're fighting these optionals to get a couple of very important thresholds. The first threshold is going to be level 13 for this next gym. And the second really important threshold is level 18 for Rival 2, which I'll explain when we get there. But basically, with the way that the damage formula works in Pokemon, you actually get a little bit of a damage boost every time your level ends in a 0, 3, 5, or 8. And as you'll notice, both of the level thresholds I just mentioned end in one of those numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and teach Rock Tomb here. Rock Tomb is really nice. It's been buffed in Generation 6, so it is no longer as bad as it used to be. And we're going to teach Echoed Voice. Echoed Voice is well, alright, I would teach Echoed Voice if I said yes. Echoed Voice is a really powerful move. It's basically going to be the star of the show in the next gym. But we do have one fight to do first, which I'm also going to save for. So this is another Poochyena, just like the one in the forest. This one is a little bit easier for us to deal with. However, with my speed, it's actually a little bit worse. So I will be slower than the Poochyena, or speed tied, I think. So I need to use Rock Tomb to lower its speed, and then it also sand attacked me. All right, cool. We got through there with no damage, which is really nice. That fight can go really poorly, and this is one of the first fights that changes significantly with the amount of like basically your stats. If your stats can vary that fight quite a bit. If your special attack is too low, you can't use Water Gun to deal a lot of damage. If you're outsped, you have to use Rock Tomb. If you're faster than the Poochyena, then you can skip Rock Tomb, but only if your special attack is good. So it's like a whole, basically, flow chart of what to do based on your stats there. I had basically a pretty standard fight where my special attack was high enough to 3-shot with Water Gun, but I wasn't faster, so I had to Rock Tomb. All right. So another little story dump here before we get into the next gym. I mentioned, so Echoed Voice is a move that is going to be very powerful for us in the next gym. Echoed Voice is a 40 base power move. Typically a strong move would be anything from like 70, 75 and up. So it's not a very powerful move, but the way that it works is every consecutive turn that you use Echoed Voice, its power increases by 40. So it starts at 40 and then becomes 80 on the second turn, and then 120 on the third turn, and then 160. And you can see how it goes. And so we're going into a gym with a lot of really bulky Pokemon. So our Water Gun isn't going to cut it. Our Tackle isn't going to cut it. Rock Tomb is not very effective against these Pokemon. So Echoed Voice is the clear winner. And yeah. So I'm going to take a quick little stop in the shop here first. We're going to buy 2 Repels. This makes Wild Encounters go away. I was not supposed to buy that many Super Potions. Oops. I can fix that. That's not a big deal. I see chat is getting riled up. Oh, whoops.
In true Among Us fashion, they're trying to find which town they're gonna lynch.
Alright. Alright, so we are now on our way to Dewford. Like I mentioned earlier, Hoenn isn't really the most linear area. And so they're actually, we just sort of went on like the west coast of the area And now we're on an island off the west coast, and then we're going to hit the southern coast and start going up the middle of the area, and none of that is connected. Or at least some of it's connected, but it's by surf, which we don't have access to use surf yet, so... So yeah. But we're going to go ahead and do the first battle here. So there are 3 battles before the gym leader, all of which are required, and all of them are kind of horrible. So the first one here is against Meditite. Meditite is faster than us, so it'll always get to go first. It has 2 moves that are kind of trolly. The first one being Detect, which is essentially Protect. It won't take damage that turn. The second is Endure, which means if it was going to die, it's not going to die that turn. It has Meditate, which does absolutely nothing. And then it also has Confusion, which is a damaging move that we don't want to see, because it has a 10% chance of confusing us, which means we then have a 50% chance of hitting ourselves instead of the Meditite. That went pretty well. I'm going to go ahead and go into my menu. One thing I just did was I picked up the Silk Scarf. Silk Scarf is a held item that boosts our normal type moves by 20%. Really nice item. And this is Hideki. Hideki is the gatekeeper for the early game. Basically, Hideki can kill us in 2 hits, and we take 3 hits, sometimes 4, to kill him. So this is very much a spray, echoed voice, and pray. That was incredibly bad damage for the first turn, so I'm going to go ahead and heal. That was just a raw crit. That is exactly half, so I need him to not go for low sweep. I'm trying to help the believers in chat. I was gonna say, he can do things other than low sweep. But we died. Pay it out. Pay it out to the doubters. Hey, look at that. I just gained 2,000 channel points. Alright. So now we try again. There is basically no good way to make this fight any better. I actually have pretty good stats for this fight. My special attack is very high, so I'm guaranteed to 3-shot. It's just my defense is a little bit low. Or my defense is good, but my HP is low. This is a free fight now. So, like, you can see the difference. Just because I got crit turn 1 meant I couldn't win, but you could basically get through that without taking any damage. Or getting hit only once. So I'm going to go ahead and heal back up. Common trend in this gym. I'm also going to go ahead and save again. This fight in particular isn't the most dangerous, but because I just got past Hideki, I don't want to lose that checkpoint, you know? So I'm going to go ahead and save. I'll also save... Do I want to save before Brawley? I don't care. I'll be fine.
Do we have time for a quick donation?
Yeah, go for it.
We got a $22 donation from Hideki that said nobody can defeat me. Evidently, that was not correct. But thank you for the $22.
Alright. So another thing to be at least cognizant of in this section is the amount of echoed voices we're using. We want to make sure that we have enough for another fight later on. And I'm a little bit low. Hopefully Brawley goes well. Actually, because I'm so low, I think I will save for Brawley. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to remove the Silk Scarf. Considering it gives us an extra 20% boost, you might be wondering why that is. And the reason is basically... There's actually 2 reasons for it. The first is Makuhita on this fight, the second Pokemon we're going to face, has a move called Knockoff. And if it decides to use that, it hurts a lot and would remove the Silk Scarf anyways from us. The second reason we like to have it removed is there's a fight later on where not having an item equipped is really nice because it's a complicated fight. I'll explain it when we get there. This Machop is way easier than the other Machop. It still can kill us. There's a certain combination of moves that would spell death for us, but that is the start of it. So it has Leer, it has Bulk Up, it has Karate Chop. So if Karate Chop had crit there, it would have not killed us, but it would have knocked us pretty low. And then we're going to go ahead and deal with this Makuhita. I will likely knock this into heal range. And it bulk ups, so we're good. You can see the power of Echoed Voice coming out there. And that's it for that fight. That Makuhita can be a lot more of a troll. Like I said, it has Knockoff, which it doesn't like to use if I don't have an item. It also has Sand Attack, which it prefers if you're at high health. If you're at like full health going into it, it likes to use Sand Attack a lot. And then you're sitting there spamming Echoed Voice, hoping to hit one. The nice thing is, like, even though Echoed Voice isn't connecting when you get Sand Attacked, you still keep your boost. Like, it's not like it resets back to 40 power. I'm going to go ahead and grab this just because I accidentally bought an extra Super Potion. Normally I don't buy or pick this up, but it's an extra 1,000 Poké Dollars, so it's pretty nice. And then we're going to go ahead and heal up. And use a Repel. We're now at the stage in the game where we have Repels, and we're going to be getting Super Repels in the next city, and we should get no more encounters. There's basically one more chance for an encounter, but hopefully we don't see it. This is Steven. Steven is going to be sort of like a sidekick to us, almost. Or we're basically like a sidekick to him throughout a little bit of the game. This is the first time we're meeting him, though. He gets into a little bit of the lore of the region. All right. All right, so now we've done everything that we need to in Dewford. We're going to go back to Mr. Briny and take the boat over to Slateport. Another common question I get a lot is, why do we fight Brawley early? So in Generation 3, you can actually skip Brawley. And I think the Emerald route actually does skip Brawley and fights him later. Like, Norman won't fight you unless you have 4 gym badges. But there's nothing stopping you from, like, going to talk to Steven and then just leaving without fighting Brawley. And then going back later. However, in this game, Steven doesn't even appear in Granite Cave until after you've beaten Brawley, so you have to fight Brawley. Talk to this girl. She's going to give us the Soft Sand. This is just like the Silk Scarf, except for ground-type moves. And where Mudkip's evolution, Marshtomp, is part ground, that's going to be a very useful item for us. Grab this PP up. This sells for 5,000. I think it might be 4,900. Either way, it's a lot of money. And then make our way into Slateport. So here's going to be basically the first difference. There have been some like very minute differences, but this is going to be the really like most apparent first difference between Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. So the only difference between the games are in Omega Ruby you fight Team Magma, and in Alpha Sapphire you fight Team Aqua. Team Aqua has Pokemon like Poochyena, Carvanha, and Grimers, where Team Magma has Poochyena's Numels and Coughings, along with Zubats. Both teams have Zubats as well. And the Carvanhas and Sharpedos are light years harder to deal with than the Numels and Camerups. So, these fights are basically a pushover in Omega Ruby and are actually a big deal in Alpha Sapphire. I also, because my attack is so bad, I will likely not two-shot this Carvanha, and I will likely not one-shot the Zubat coming up. Wow, I'm actually surprised I got that. So that's one. If you could heal in between the fights, I maybe wouldn't have saved, but because I literally cannot heal, you just immediately get thrust into the battle. These can be dangerous. This Zubat is both not going to die in one hit, and also outspeeds me. So wing attack is good. The other thing it could have done there is it could have used Supersonic, which would have been pretty bad because that would have confused me. So I'm actually going to Rock Tomb again. And now that we are level 16, we get to evolve. So that's another nice thing that the early experience with fighting the two optionals does for us. We get to evolve here. There is a different experience route that actually allows you to evolve in between those two battles and makes that second battle way better. But it's just a little bit too slow to really be viable. Marshtomp learns Mud Shot via level up. Mud Shot isn't going to be the most useful move for us. In Generation 3, it's basically Marshtomp's best move for a while. But in this game, since Generation 4, with the physical special split, Mud Shot is a special move. And, well, I would say normally Marshtomp's special attack is worse than its physical attack. But I think you'll find this particular Marshtomp, that's not really the case. So this is Archie. Archie is the leader of Team Aqua. We're going to fight him a couple times, but not for a little bit. And now we get to go shopping. Alright, so I need to buy a lot of stuff. Hold on. Actually, I need to sell some stuff first. So we're going to sell that Stardust from earlier, Pokeballs, Ball Mushroom, and Great Ball. Six. I'm actually gonna do this real quick. Alright. Actually, wait, I need... Alright, I don't want to mess this up, so that's why I'm There we go. So we just bought a bunch of X items. X items are items that, when used in battle, will increase whatever stat corresponds with the X item. So, for example, an X speed will increase my speed. And it increases it by stages. And stat stages, the way that they work in battle, are basically picture your stat as like 2/2. So when you're at +0, when you're at 0 stat stage, your stat is multiplied by 2/2. And every time you go into the positive, so +1, +2, you add 1 to the top number. So 1x speed makes you 3/2 speed. 2x speeds would be 4/2 speed. And then once you start going into the negative, you start increasing the bottom number. So -1 speed would be 2/3, -2 would be 2/4, etc., etc. Based on my IVs, which are pretty bad, I knew what I had to buy there. The normal buy actually has me buy less X speeds than I need because I'm so slow. But I actually had enough money to buy 2 extras, so I ended up doing that. We're not doing all Mega Stones. I'm not prepared. Alright. So we're gonna fight this lady. This lady is the other fight that's really nice that we don't have the Silk Scarf equipped. She has a Plusle and a Minoon. Both of them are like Pikachu clone electric Pokemon. And they don't actually have moves that can damage us. So this fight is absolutely free. Because we're a ground type, normally they have Spark, but Spark is an electric move. We're a ground type, it can't hit us. So the only thing they can do is either use the moves Bestow, which will take their item and give it to us, Switcheroo, which will switch our items, or Encore, which forces us to use the move that we were just using. And so, because of that, we want to get bestowed an Oranberry, because otherwise, what this would happen, where it heals, it's also going to switcheroo and take the Oranberry from us. Our special attack's high enough that didn't matter. Sometimes this is like a 5 or 6 turn fight, so that was really good. And then now, we're going to get ready for the last... basically the end of what I consider the early game. There's like a gauntlet of really hard fights in the early game. This is the last one coming up. I am going to save before it. So this is Rival 2. Rival 2 is notorious for being one of the worst fights in basically every Pokemon game. The way that the game expects you to be leveling up, it's just... Rival 2 is always a little bit stronger than you're really prepared for. And we're going to use Echoed Voice in this fight. So he goes ahead and leads Slugma here. Slugma is not the most dangerous Pokemon. But if it wants to be, it can be. Incinerate is the move that does the most damage. Ember is the worst move for us to see. Even though it does less than Incinerate, it has the option of burning us. So the more Embers we see, the less happy we are. Ideally, we take enough, or we don't take enough damage during our setup that we have to heal. However, it looks like I am likely going to have to... If I get another Harden or a Rock Throw here, I can go without healing. Oh, cool. Awesome. And then now we just sort of sweep. So this fight here is the primary reason why we picked the girl. The girl... Every trainer in this game has their Pokemon, and the natures for that Pokemon, or for their Pokemon, are the same from run to run. So, like, Pokefan Isabelle, the fight we just did, will always have the same natures on all of her Pokemon. Same thing with the rival here. The main difference is Pokemon Trainer Brendan is seen as a different trainer than Pokemon Trainer May. And so Brendan's Pokemon have different natures than May's Pokemon do. And Brendan's natures are just more favorable for us. That Grovyle has minus special defense, which means it'll die, usually, to a +3 Echoed Voice 120 base power. It's very complicated. But the short answer to why did you pick the girl is Rival 2.
All right. Do we have a minute for a couple quick donations?
Yeah, go for it.
We got a $5 donation from Jay that says, "Take my Canadian funny money." Indeed, we will. Thank you for that $5. That helped push us over the $1,400 mark. And then we had a $50 donation from Jeff and Laura with no comment. So thank you very much, Jeff and Laura. And thank you very much, Jay. We are now at $1,453. And then right at the same time, we had 5 gifted subs from Anonymous. So remember, be sure to thank, if you got a sub, thank the gifter. We really appreciate that.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and, now that we're in Mauville, Mauville is one of the cities that got the biggest change from the original games. It's now this massive, like, indoor-outdoor city. Now that we're in Mauville, we're going to go ahead and buy the bike, and we're also going to go into the Pokemart here and buy a TM. So TMs are well, they don't stand for this, but they are teachable moves. So we're going to buy Bulldoze. Bulldoze is the reason we don't have to rely on Mudshot. It's a very powerful ground-type move for us. I'm going to equip the Soft Sand, turn off the EXP share. We don't have a second Pokemon yet, but once we do get one, the EXP share being on would be bad. We register our bike. Is going to allow us to use the bike when we're out of battle, or we're out of our menu by hitting the Y button, and then we're going to teach Bulldoze. Bulldoze is a 60 power move. It's ground type, which means it gains same type attack bonus. Basically an extra 50% boost because it matches the type that we have. It's also going to gain that 20% boost from Soft Sand, which is really nice. So that's an extra, 10% on top of the 50%. Or an extra multiplier, I should say. And then it's also a spread move, which isn't going to be super important for a lot of the run. But for some of the run, it is important. And a spread move basically means that when there's a double battle, or there's multiple opponents on the field, it's going to hit all of the opponents. And so that is a very, very nice thing to have. The Mauville shop there actually has a lot of really good TMs. None of them are all that useful for us with Marshtomp, but one of the most common alternate runs that people do in Pokemon are what are called alternate main Pokemon. And a lot of the TMs there are really useful for those. And now we're going to go ahead and enter Watson's gym. Watson is the electric-type gym leader, and much like that Plusle-Manoon fight, there isn't a whole lot that any of these trainers can actually do to us. If they even got a turn. Bulldoze is just going to one-shot absolutely everything. The only way we take damage is if something outspeeds us, or if something has a priority move, which these electrics do. Okay. One thing I should have done... Alright, we're fine. Another strategy that could come into play is... there's a fight a little bit later on that... If our defense and HP combination is bad enough, we have a chance of dying. And so I was just seeing, and if you have that chance of dying, you should pick up an extra X defense on the ground. Which I was just making sure if I needed to. Worst case, I'd be 2 and 16 to die, which is basically the same as a critical hit. It's a bit more, but I don't think it's worth playing around. Alright. One last mandatory trainer here, and then we fight the gym leader. Alright, so here is Watson. Watson is actually a bit of a wall on a lot of Pokemon that try to get through here. The AI for the fight basically likes to use Thunder Wave if you're not paralyzed. And once you are paralyzed, he likes to use Volt Switch, which is a move, it's actually his Gym Leader TM, which will deal damage and then switch out. And he'll often switch between like the Magnemite, the Magneton, like that. He'll switch into the Voltorb occasionally. And it's a really, really awful fight. With Marshtomp, however, we are a ground type, so we are immune to Thunder Wave, which means the only thing the Magnemite can do here is just tackle. So what we do is we use Water Gun once, that breaks Sturdy. If we were to just use Bulldoze and knock it down to 1 health, he would use the Super Potion, and then we'd have to break Sturdy again, and then go that way. We also use an X Speed to make sure we outspeed the Magneton. The Magneton has Supersonic, which if it decides to use, can obviously confuse us. It is a bit of a gamble. If your speed is low enough, you actually can't outspeed after an X speed, which is kind of ridiculous. Marshtomp is just very slow. And if you don't outspeed, you just sort of risk it and hope for the best. All right. Alright, so Rock Smash is our first HM. That's unfortunate. That's fine. Rock Smash is our first HM, and normally the way that Pokemon speedruns work is you catch... Getting a revive from that rock is actually really nice. That's a random element to it. I could have gotten an encounter from that. But anyways, so normally what you do is you catch another Pokemon to be your HM Pokemon. So you like throw Cut or Rock Smash, Strength, Surf, all that kind of stuff on it. So that way you don't use moves that are unoptimal on your main Pokemon. Mudkip and the Mudkip line actually learn every HM that's required to beat this game. And so what we sort of do, and it starts at this point, is we start to turn Mudkip into that HM Pokemon. We teach it Rock Smash there. Rock Smash isn't a very powerful move. Oh, I forgot to Super Repel. Whoops. Yeah, your HM companion, exactly. And so normally, or we start to turn Mudkip into that for us. Little bit of a spoiler, we are going to be switching away from Mudkip at some point. And by the time we switch away from it, 3 of its 4 moves will be HMs. HM assistant, exactly. Concierge. So this fight here can go pretty south. I'm going to go ahead and use an X attack here. Normally the way this fight works is you take out the Electrike turn 1. The Bagon, which is the second Pokemon, is a 2-shot. And then you use an X attack on the Makuhita because it likes to go for Fake Out, which means you're going to flinch anyways. My attack is bad enough that the Bagon was a 2-shot range. So I'll do that. Getting paralyzed is basically how this fight can go poorly. Alright, and then I'm going to go ahead and heal here. Hopefully get Fake Out. Cool. And then I will likely get Knockoff here, which means bye-bye to my Soft Sand for now. And then luckily I am already paralyzed, so Force Palm can't paralyze me, and get rid of it that way. So that fight went not as bad as it could. Like, you can just straight up die there, but that was a pretty bad version of that fight. The Bagon has a bunch of different moves it can use, and Dragon Breath Paralyze was the worst of the bunch. Alright, another quick tutorial here. This is Arun. Arun is the guy who's going to teach us about secret bases. We don't use secret bases at all in the run. They're kind of they're very much a casual thing. It's not something you would do for a speedrun. A 101 Arun, oh no. Considering the death and second try Marshtomp or Mudkip, I'm okay with that. All right. Another nice thing for this game that differs from the originals is one thing that you may not have noticed is I was given Rock Smash by Wally's dad in Mauville. And the way that you got that in Gen 3 was you had to go into this random house and talk to somebody to get it. So they were like, oh, people, may have had a hard time finding it, so we're going to go ahead and make it more obvious. Strength was given to us by Brendan just now. And Strength is normally something you have to go through Rusturf Tunnel for, which is the tunnel that we fought the Poochyena in earlier in the run. And, yeah, they just sort of give it to you. So it was like, they make it so you don't have to go out of your way at all in this game, almost. They do the same thing with, Dive later on. It's just sort of, you're, forced into Steven's house instead of having to go in there. To know to go in there. Alright. Wait for a couple more spinners. I don't know when... I was going to say, I don't know when my repels are going to wear off because I use them at really awkward time. Okay. Fight this guy. This is an Aeron. This is basically the only time we're going to be using Rock Smash. And we basically use Rock Smash because this thing has Sturdy, which means it doesn't die in one hit anyways. And Rock Smash will 2-hit it, so. Cool beans. We're going to pick up one item here. It is a Comet Shard, and it's actually a very... It sells for a lot. It sells for 15,000 Poké Dollars, so... Bypass that guy. Past him. Past that guy. And then I'm going to go ahead and heal and save here. So this is going to be our first example of a double fight, and you're going to see really how powerful Bulldoze is. It's also the first example of a true double fight. We have a few of these in the run. Basically, by true double, what it means is we are only in control. There are 4 Pokemon on the field. We are in control of one of them. We are fighting with a partner. So it's not 2 of our own Pokemon. It's, you know, us and Brendan. So we can't control what Slugma does. So I'm going to go ahead and X attack here. I got confused, which is pretty bad. Swagger is a move that you're going to be seeing a lot of, probably in this run. And basically the way that it works is it increases the opponent's attack by 2 stages, but it confuses them. And so this fight has gone basically as bad as it can. So my attack got boosted by 2 stages, which was really nice, but I also got confused, so I had to heal that. I then got hit by Mud Bomb, which lowered my accuracy, so the fact that I hit all 3 of the Pokemon there was actually incredible. And then luckily, the last Pokemon here in this battle is Carvanha. And Carvanha, the Grovyle should be able to take care of it, so yeah, there we go. Awesome. So not the worst fight, but it's still pretty bad. Yeah, and hitting yourself in confusion is based off of your attack power, so it's sort of like a troll move in that it increases your attacks, so that way when you hit yourself in confusion, you do more damage to yourself. Alright, so now that we're done here, this is going to be the first of 2 really convenient things that were added by the game. There's a lot of backtracking in the Hoenn region story. And one of the things that they did to alleviate that in this game versus the originals was they basically made it so Brendan will take you back to Mauville here. We have to go to Mount Chimney, which the place where I got the encounter by accident is basically where I need to go. However, it's just about the same amount of distance from here to there that it is from Mauville to that point. With the main difference being going to Mauville includes a cutscene and also has you go through another Rock Smash Rock. And the Rock Smash Rock has a chance to give you an encounter. It is slower to say no here, but I'm going to say no anyways. I like the consistency of just not getting an encounter. So it technically loses time over the top end, but if I happened to get an encounter, it would be faster to do this. So go ahead and heal, or not heal, sell that. Buy Hyper Potions. Full heals, which are basically like Antidote, Awakening, Paralyze Heal, Burn Heal, Ice Heal, all put into one. I hit the wrong thing. And then Max Repels, which are what I'm going to use now. Max Repels will make all encounters not show up for, I think it's 250 steps. And that Max Repel we just used, we're going to basically keep reapplying it until the end of the game. It's kind of funny how that works out. So do all this backtracking. It is kind of awkward to do this, like, this section backward. For 4 years, I only did it forwards. But with a bit of practice, it's not too bad to go backward. All right. My attack is bad enough. I bet I don't one-shot Grimer. So Mount Chimney is one of the worst sections in Omega Ruby. So the Grimer we had in the last battle and the two Grimers that we have here instead would be Coughings. Now on the past double battle, it wouldn't have been an issue because that Coughing likes to go boom, likes to use self-destruct. So it's fine. You know, we just sort of get rid of it really quick. The Coughings here, however, all of the Coughings really have Levitate, which means they don't get hit by ground type moves. And if you look at my moveset, I've got 2 ground moves, a fighting move, which is not very effective against poison types, and then a Rock Tomb, which is an inaccurate move. And so this section is just really bad, trying to deal with those Coughings. Luckily, Grimer is grounded, so you can hit it with a ground type move. It's super effective, which is really nice. You can go down in one hit. This Grimer here is very bulky, so I'm actually going to use an X attack, and I believe it's a range to KO. So hopefully we just get through it. The other thing that this Grimer can do that's really dumb is it can use Minimize, which increases its evasion, and it can use Mud Bomb, which will lower my accuracy. Luckily, it used Disable and didn't do anything. There is a really bad fight that you can get into where it goes something like X attack on my end into Minimize. I use Bulldoze, I miss, it uses Disable, disables my Bulldoze, and then I'm just sort of, SOL going into the next section. But Alright, now we're going to go into Archie. I'm going to save for this fight as well. This fight should go fine, but there's always the chance it doesn't. Basically, the way that this fight should go is we actually want to be swaggered. We were talking earlier about how swagger is not a very good move for us. We want to get swaggered. We would like that attack boost. It saves us a lot of time. X attacks only increase our stage by 1. Swagger increases it by 2. And ideally, we get to +3 attack here. Or higher, I should say. We also have to use 2x speeds in order to outspeed the Golbat and the Sharpedo. So there's basically a lot of setup here, and if we can get the swagger from Mightyena to help us basically remove a bunch of that setup, that'd be really nice. I avoided the swagger. That is a meme. Alright, so there's one swagger. We're probably going to get swaggered again. Okay, cool. That's a revive. Don't want that. Full heal, get rid of the confusion. And now we go. So aside from swagger missing, swagger's 85% accurate. So aside from the swagger actually missing us, that was pretty good. Sharpedo goes down. And we just have to hit a Rock Tomb here. Rock Tomb is 95% accurate. Cool. If we're only at +2 attack, that Golbat is a range, so. I guess I never talked about ranges. So ranges, basically every time damage is calculated, the last thing that's done is a percentage between 85% and 100% is multiplied. So 85%, 86%, etc. So there's 16 different damage values that could happen. And so when I say something is a range, it usually means that some of those damage ranges, or some of those damage rolls would result in a KO and some wouldn't. So a lot of times you'll hear like, oh, this is an 11 and 16 range. That means it's 69% to get KO'd. I'm going to equip the soft sand here, and I'm going to take, there's a lady up here who will give us a free heal. It's technically faster for us to heal in the menu. However, for marathon safety, I'd like the extra healing items. Go like that. Jagged Pass has some really interesting movement. You just line yourself up and hold down. And then on to the next gym. So this is Flannery's gym. Flannery is the fire type gym leader. One mandatory trainer here. There are a bunch of optionals. Some of them are visible right here, like this guy. He's a spinner, so we gotta wait for him to spin. Go like that. In these rooms where there's like a water floor, see those bubbles? That is a trainer, and those are their ninja boys, and the ninja boys have coughings, so they are probably the absolute worst trainers for us to hit, like in terms of optional trainers, just because there's no good way to deal with them. And you hit them if you go either on the tile with the bubbles or the tile next to the bubbles. Alright. Fight this guy. Flannery is another gym leader that isn't really required to save for. If my special attack was a bit worse... so this fight has a Slugma, a Numel, and a Torkoal. The Slugma and Numel just go down to Bulldoze. Torkoal is really bulky and actually has a plus defense nature, so... we have to use Mud Shot on it instead of Bulldoze. And if our special attack was worse, Mud Shot 2-shot could be a range. But it isn't for us, so it should be fine. My special attack is very good. The only downside to Mud Shot is it is also, like Rock Tomb, 95% accurate, so it does have a chance of missing. Torkoal can use Sunny Day. It can also use Overheat, which is a very powerful fire move. It can use Body Slam, which is the absolute worst thing it can do. Body Slam has a chance to paralyze us, so... but we got through that pretty easily. Alright, so now we're done with our 4 gym badges. So we're actually going to go back to Petalburg City and talk to our dad, Norman, and do that gym. Again, like after the Meteor Falls battle, Brendan is here to give us a free ride back to Petalburg. This time it is totally worth it for us to take the free ride back to Petalburg. He's taking us exactly where we need to go next, so it's not even like there's extra movement, like we're 6 steps away from the door. It's definitely worth it for us to say yes this time. The original games have some really cool strategies involving either like death warping, basically entering a center in Petalburg or Dewford, and then purposely dying to go back to that Pokemon Center, or by catching an Abra and using Teleport. Both of them are pretty cool strats. So, and I'm actually going to save for this fight. Normally I wouldn't. However, my attack is bad enough that I am not guaranteed to KO this in 3 hits. So, and this is one of the worst fights in terms of time loss. So every room here in Norman's gym has a gimmick. And the gimmick in this room is accuracy. So turn 1, she's going to use an X accuracy, which is going to increase her accuracy stage by 1. Then she is likely going to go for either, alright, make me eat my words. Did not at all do what she was supposed to. And in a good way. She likes to go for Attract, basically. And Attract is a move that will make it so, because I'm the opposite gender of her Delcatty, there's a 50-50 chance that I am immobilized by love. So I got immobilized once there, and then not the second time, so that was pretty good. The other thing she has is Sing, which will put us to sleep. Luckily, Sing missed in that battle. The next room here is the Recovery Room. This is... the gimmick here is when the Lanoon that we're facing gets to low health, they will heal. So the goal here is to not knock it into heal range. The other thing that this fight is annoying for is the Lanoon has a move called Covet, which will steal our item. And so because of that, and because my attack is so bad, I'm actually going to go ahead and spam Rock Smash. Rock Smash has a 50% chance of lowering their defense, just like that. So by spamming this, I was able to take it out in 3 hits. Normally that would not have been a 3-turn fight, so that was really lucky. The third room here, the gimmick is one-hit KO room. So he's going to try to gear himself up to get a one-hit KO on us. The way he's going to do that is by using a Dire Hit. Dire Hit is an item that will increase the critical hit stage of his Pokemon. So basically make him 50-50 to crit. With the stats that we take, we cannot die even to a max roll critical hit. So as long as we KO it in 3 turns, then we are fine. Like I said, that looked more dangerous than it is. Alright. And now we get to do the Norman fight. So Norman is a dangerous fight. And it is especially dangerous with my stats. And there's really not a good way for us to make it less dangerous with my stats. Aside from getting critical hit, we have a 95% chance of actually two-shotting the second slacking, which is not really the best odds. So I'm going to go ahead and heal. We're going to save, because there are a lot of items we have to use in this fight. So if we die, even though we're close to home, if we die, we wouldn't be able to do the fight again. Alright. So, like I said, this is one of the most dangerous fights in the game, and it has probably the most complicated setup. So this slacking has an ability called Truant, which means every other turn, he's not going to get to move. And we definitely take that to our advantage. So turn 1, we're going to use an X defense. We likely get Yawn. So Yawn means next turn, we're going to fall asleep. I'm going to use 2x speeds, and that's because I am outsped by the second Pokemon, the Vigoroth, after only 1x speed, so I do 2. He goes ahead and uses Retaliate. And now I need to set up 4x attacks. So that is 1x attack, 2x attacks. I'm going to go ahead and heal the full. So 3x attacks, 4x attacks. So now I'm completely set up. I am asleep, so I'm going to use a full heal. It's important that we full heal on a turn where slacking is actually going to attack, because that way he can't re-yawn us. And then I'm going to use Bulldoze. Bulldoze should two-shot. And that's the first slacking down. The second slacking is the thing that is a 95% range. So it's a very good range, but technically it's only 95%. But first, if he gets a move off, he will kill us right now, so we are going to go ahead and heal. Should have used a super potion instead of a hyper, that's fine though. And that was a critical hit, so that is the other downside to that fight. I would have lived probably anywhere from like 1 to 10 health. So a critical hit absolutely kills us. And that's just the downside to this battle. There's so much setup and there's so many turns where he could critical hit us. So even though a critical hit is a 1 in 16 chance, there's so many individual chances that it's just something that's going to happen every now and then. It is possible on the first slacking to live a crit, but not on the second. So now we have to do that whole fight all over again. Lots of setup. It's a very punishing fight to die to. Alright. Oh my god, I thought that lived for a second. Yeah, so a death like that easily loses about 2 or 3 minutes, but we're doing fine. And with that, we are basically done with our Mudkip. So, like I mentioned earlier, Mudkip more or less turns into our HM friend as we progress through the game. We were given Strength earlier, and now that we've beaten Norman, we're going to be given Surf as well. And we're immediately going to need to use Surf, so I'm going to go ahead and teach both Strength and Surf just because it's faster to teach them both at the same time. And we have one more fight to do with Marshtomp. And then we get sort of probably the biggest difference between Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire speedruns versus Ruby Sapphire speedruns. Another little quality of life thing, Wally takes us to Mauville, which is basically where we have to go. Alright. I'm gonna go ahead and heal. Teach Strength. And then hop over those ledges, and we head over here to the water. Now that we have Surf and Norman's badge, we can go ahead and use Surf. This game actually has 8 HMs, and every gym badge unlocks a new HM for you to use, which I find pretty interesting. And then, yeah, so this right here is the biggest difference between Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire and then Ruby Sapphire. We have this little side quest type thing that we get sort of thrown into with a legendary Pokemon. So the game is going to give us a Latios or a Latias based on which version of the game we are in. We are playing on Alpha Sapphire, which means we get Latias, which is, for the speedrun, the worst of the two. I think in competitive Pokemon, Latias is better than Latios. But for our speedrun purposes, it is absolutely not. Basically, Alpha Sapphire has a better Mudkip section than Omega Ruby. It has a better end game than Omega Ruby. But the mid game basically makes it currently the slower of the two runs. And I'm also going to save here, just because this fight can go poorly. So this is Matt. Matt is another Aqua admin, like Shelly from earlier, and like Archie. This is going to be another of the true double fights. So we are only controlling one Pokemon this fight. This fight in Omega Ruby is leaps and bounds better than this one. This Sharpedo is sort of like a picture of things to come. Sharpedos are going to be our main issue for the entire run, or for the rest of the run, I should say. The Tang being confused there is really not good. Nice. Alright. So that went okay. It was kind of slow, but I mean, there is like no version of that fight that's fast. And now we're going to get given our Latios. Or our Latias. Excuse me, I misspoke. So legendaries in this game are guaranteed to have 3 stats at 31 IV, which you might think is like, oh, that's really cool, and like you're guaranteed to get a good Pokemon then. That's not really the case here. Latias's special attack is easily the most important stat. And even having 31 IV neutral is like not quite good enough. So you're really hoping for plus special attack. It's only 16% to have plus special attack, so it's not something you're like actually gonna reset over. In fact, you take every Latias and just hope for the best. But neutral special attack and neutral speed, which are the 2 stats that matter most, are going to be 80 and 80. So that's what I'm going to look for. We're going to be teaching Surf to the Latias as soon as I enter the next building. And we'll be able to see our stats then. Got a bit of movement first, though. I'll grab this elixir here. Elixir is an item that will allow us to replenish our power points without using a Pokemon Center. It's going to be really useful. And then we're going to finally get a glimpse at our Latias. So we have bad HP, which is actually kind of not a bad thing. It means that we don't have 31 IV there, which means our 3 stats with 31 IV, like one of them isn't being taken up by HP. As I'm saying that, it doesn't matter because my special attack is not very good and my speed's not very good. So that's pretty awesome. So I have 31 IV, attack, defense, and special defense. I'm a neutral nature and upset, to say the least. But it's sort of what you expect with Latias. Latios has much higher special attack, same speed, but worse defenses. So Latios is a bit more of like a glass cannon. Whatever. It could have been a worse Latios. Alright, so Latias's main attacking moves are going to be, at least for the early part of this section, Surf, just because it's such a powerful move. Dragon Breath, which with Surf, like with Stab, is the same base power as Surf. And then Mist Ball. And Mist Ball is essentially like a weaker version of the move Psychic. Go ahead and give the Persim Berry there. And I'm actually going to heal, or not heal, save here. This fight can be dangerous. So this is going to be our first Sharpedo in the run. Sharpedo is a lot of the times either faster or close to faster than Latias. If we had better speed, we would be faster, but we are not. It also likes to use the move Ice Fang, which has the chance to flinch and has the chance to... I'm just going to actually reset that. Has the chance to flinch and also has the chance to freeze us. They're independent 10% chances, so you know you're basically screwed. It also has the move Swagger, which again, like we've mentioned a couple times, will confuse us. Latias doesn't use its attack stat at all. So there is no benefit to getting swaggered like there was with Marshtomp. It's just dangerous, is what it is. So swagger missing there was really nice. Us paralyzing the Sharpedo was really nice. Because it's paralyzed, we're now faster than it, and we're able to take care of it without taking any damage. So, you know, very stark contrast between those two versions of the fight. So there are many Sharpedos we have to worry about. That is just the first one. So we get gifted a Cast Form here. Cast Form itself is not going to be very useful. However, it comes with a very useful item. So it has the Mystic Water. And the Mystic Water is like the Silk Scarf or the Soft Sand. It's a type enhancing item. However, for Mystic Water, it is, you guessed it, the water type one. So by equipping that, our water type moves are going to do 20% more damage. That means Surf. So Surf, instead of being a 90 base power move, is going to be effectively 108 base power, which makes it better than Dragon Breath. Dragon Breath is basically only going to be used in cases where Surf is not very effective. And even then, we're going to be teaching over Dragon Breath pretty soon as well. Alright, another rival battle. This one is much less dangerous than the last one. Grovyle here does have Pursuit, which is a dark type move that's super effective against us. Oh wow, I didn't KO it. But that's okay. It didn't get a chance to move. We get given Fly. We can't use Fly yet out of battle. We gain the ability to do that after we beat Winona, which is the next fight we're going to be doing. Oh wait, I'm not teaching fly yet. Alright. So here's Steven yet again. He's going to show us the Devon scope in its full effect. Basically, there are going to be these invisible things scattered throughout this area that we can reveal by using the Devon scope. It's basically a small little gimmick that prevents us from accessing the gym. There's really not much of a point to it. One of my favorite things is he sort of was like, "Are you ready for a battle?" And you say yes, and then you get thrust into the battle. We just run away, and he goes, "Ah, yes, it's very interesting how you fight." What's he say? Just as I expected. He also gives us the Swampert Megastone. We don't do any sort of Mega Evolving in this run. You could, depending on your stats, be Mega Evolving your Latias. But it's relatively slow, so it's only used in places where it is really necessary. Just as I expected, you coward. We're going to go behind the gym here and grab Grass Knot. Grass Knot would not be something we would grab in Omega Ruby. We wouldn't need it, but it's very useful for us in this game. Then we make our way into Winona's gym. So there are no required trainers in Winona's gym, just optional spinners like this. My PB in Alpha Sapphire did something great where I was standing next to this girl over on the right, and she was facing up, and I was just like, I'm going to go left now. And I just ran right into her, losing about 45 seconds. It's always a good time. Whoops. Alright, I was about to say these puzzles aren't too bad, and then I messed it up, so there you go. Alright, we go into Winona. So Winona is... The most dangerous part about Winona is her lead is a Swallow who has Double Team, which is a move like Minimize that'll raise its evasion. So there's a chance that you just sort of get Double Teamed out of your mind and then have a hard time actually hitting the Swallow. Luckily, I know how much damage the Swallow does to us, so it shouldn't be... I shouldn't be in danger of dying because of it. So we're going to X Special ×3. It's Aerial Ace. The more Aerial Aces we get, actually, the better. As weird as that sounds. Alright, I don't have to heal this, technically. I would live another hit, but I'm going to heal for safety. And then I hit through the Double Team anyways. If you have a better special attack, and by better I mean plus special attack perfect, you can go for only 2 X specials there, but it's not worth it the majority of the time. And the main reason for that is this Skarmory is the hardest thing to KO in the fight. Only other bad thing is Pelipper can go for Protect, just wastes a turn, that's all. It is kind of a failfish, Latias. It's not that bad. It could be much worse. I'm at least neutral nature. It's just my special attack is 15 IV and my speed is 4 to 5. So it's a little bit on the low side, for sure. Whoops. Get on the ladder. Alright. We're about to go do Mount Pyre. Mount Pyre is, in Alpha Sapphire at least, my least favorite part of the run. This whole section is just terrible. One of the nice things is we don't have to fight that many Pokemon, or we don't have to fight like any trainers here. Fun little fact for you guys. Meteor Falls, which was like between the 3rd and 4th badge, right before Meteor Falls is the last mandatory trainer that is not in a gym or an evil team member. Before Victory Road. You don't have to fight a single, like, normal trainer for nearly 2 hours of the run. Like an hour and a half, I guess, technically. All the trainers here are skippable. That's one of the reasons why the switch to the Legendary is, like, so nice for us. The Legendary obviously has better stats than the Marshtomp does. But, like, you start to get severely underleveled. Even with the Latias, we're going to be, you know, lower level than everything until we main switch another time. Alright, so this is a Grimer. Grimer is a range. Let's see, what is our range going to be? It's a 3 and 16 range. I'm going to guess we're not going to hit that. Just a hunch I have. I actually almost did hit it. Wow. That's pretty funny. So now that I've beaten Winona, I'm actually going to be... Like, I'll still save for the really dangerous fights, but some of these fights that I would probably save for earlier in the run, I just don't have to worry about necessarily, because I can always just fly back here if I die. I also do have one revive in my back pocket if Latias dies, but then Marshtomp clutches out the fight. Cool. Go ahead and heal up. Every Mightyena is a problem, basically. They all do have moves that, like, aren't bad. Like, Scary Face is kind of bad because now he's faster. But, like, if I get taunted, really not a big deal. I'm going to go ahead and full heal this. I am confused, which I'd like to not be. This is also a range. I don't know how bad it is. Not a very good one. Alright. And we are going to go ahead and do some menuing here. This fight here is, in my opinion, the absolute worst fight in Alpha Sapphire. And it really depends on your stats. If you have good enough stats that you... I almost completely forgot to do a bunch of this stuff. I'm gonna save again, that way if I do die, I can deal with it. Alright, so the way, ideally, this fight is gonna go is we're gonna use Bulldoze twice. Oh wait, no. We're gonna use Bulldoze once. And then, the Sharpedo will be slower. So I never actually mentioned it because it doesn't really... It comes into play, but it's sort of like... It's easy to forget. So my apologies. Bulldoze will lower the opponent's speed by 1 stage. So I'm going to use Bulldoze here. Sharpedo should not be able to kill us in 1 turn. So now the Sharpedo is slower than the Latias. I'll switch into the Latias. Sharpedo is going to choose its move based on the fact that Marshtomp was on the field. So it's not going to go for Ice Fang. It's going to go for Slash. Now, I can use Grass Knot and finish off the Sharpedo. I was both slower than the Sharpedo and wasn't going to KO it in 1 hit, where it could KO me in 2. So because of that, I have to go for it like that. If I was faster, I would be able to solo the fight with Latias. If I was slower but had better special attack, I could actually Mega Evolve there. And if I Mega Evolved, it would... you know, I would be able to deal enough damage with Grass Knot to just KO it in 1 hit, so I would just have to worry about getting frozen. Or flinched, I guess. I'm gonna grab this rare candy. This is more for safety than necessity. And then we're gonna heal. And then we're going to swap back to the front. And we're going to use Fly for the first time. Fly back to Slateport. This is basically the only time in the entire, like, story of the game that you, need to, quote-unquote, use Fly. It's the only time you're going somewhere that's not, like, almost exactly adjacent to where you are now. No! Alright, there we go. Do our final shopping trip for the run. So we got all the healing items and stuff of that nature. Alright, and we have a couple fights here. These fights can be kind of dangerous as well. This is probably the first little section of... So, The fights in Omega Ruby are almost identical to the fights here in Alpha Sapphire. All you really need to do is replace every Carvana or Sharpedo with a Numel or Camerupt. And replace every Coughing or Wheezing with a Grimer or Muck. Or other way around. Replace every Grimer or Muck with a Coughing or Wheezing. And they're basically the same. While every Mightyena is kind of an issue, this Mightyena here in Omega Ruby is the bulkiest of the bunch and actually, like, potentially isn't a two-shot even if you have great special attack. Luckily here in Alpha Sapphire, it's really not that bad. It does still deal a lot of damage to us, but goes down in 2 hits. And then this is like the fights in the museum earlier. We are basically forced into a second fight. Luckily, the second fight here is a bit easier than the first one, so it's not like we're going from, you know, super hard fight into, or we're not going from like a fight that's not dangerous, but like could leave us in a bad state and then into a dangerous fight. We're gonna Grass Knot this. Rough Skin's an issue, but can deal. Oh, that's a good crit. That is not guaranteed by any means. In fact, that was a 4 in 16, so that was 25% to die if I didn't critical hit. And now he's going to take us directly to Lily Cove, which is the next city where we need to do stuff. And we're going to go into another fight that's not exactly the best for safety. My speed and special attack make this fight a little bit worse than it needs to be. But let's go ahead and heal up. And then I'm going to go ahead and save right here. So this is Rival 4. This is actually an optional battle in Generation 3, but they force it on you here in this game. You can't even go up these stairs without Brendan talking to you. Normally you can't enter the Lily Cove department store without fighting him, but I guess enough people skipped it that they wanted to force it on you. And this fight sucks. His starter has now fully evolved and no longer has any grass moves. It's like he knows that we were going to ditch the Marsh Stomp. No longer has any grass moves and instead has Dual Chop, which is a dragon type move. And Latias, being a dragon psychic type, is going to get hurt real bad by it. So we're going to use an X speed because we're slow, use an X special. And then hopefully we can just get rid of the Swallow. Good. Now the Swallow, or not the Swallow, the Sceptile here likes to go for Detect. I'm going to go for Mist Ball there. I'm going to go ahead and Fly. Ideally, we get Detect on that turn. We didn't. We're going to do this a couple times here. Eventually, he'll break the cycle. In theory, he'll break the cycle. He's going to Agility here. Yeah. Alright. We're fine. You can just sort of get unlucky on this fight like that. Unfortunately, the AI isn't exactly predictable. But at least I didn't die. That's how I'm looking at it. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and go into my menu. We're gonna use my elixir now. And now we're gonna go into Team Aqua Hideout. So this is the one area in the game that is actually different between the two. This would just be Team Magma Hideout in Omega Ruby. And it's more or less a mirror image of the other one. So instead of going to the right here, I would go left. However, a lot of the trainers are actually in different spots. So like this guy here is actually an optional in Omega Ruby, but is required in this game. And once again, Alpha Sapphire kind of gets the shaft when it comes to what's required and what's not. We have to fight a Golbat, which doesn't die in one hit, typically. And a Mighty Yena, which, you know, always dies in 2 hits. In Omega Ruby, we fight a Mighty Yena, but then we also fight a Numel, which just, like, goes down at the thought of the word surf. So this guy here is required in Omega Ruby. He's a spinner in this game. We're also going to take a slight detour while we're here in the Aqua Hideout to grab the Master Ball. So this right here is not a required room that I have to go into, but we would like the Master Ball because of reasons that I'll explain later. You can probably guess them. We need the ball all the way in the top right. We can just sort of talk to the plant, and the game corrects itself into the Master Ball there, so we don't have to pick up. 2 of those are electrodes, and 1 is a nugget. Normally you would pick up the nugget and then grab the Master Ball, but luckily we don't have to worry about it. In case we find a shiny. Exactly. Alright, and then this person's a spinner in Omega Ruby, but required here in Alpha Sapphire. Or girl, I should say. I cannot catch a break. Every single one of these Mighty Yenas has hit me instead of... Like, they have moves like Taunt, which mean I can't use a non-damaging move. They have Embargo, which means I can't use items. Like, all these moves that are just fine and don't actually hurt. And instead, I have to... I have to heal. But luckily, I don't have to heal right away. So this is the one and only instance of a Horde Battle in this run. Basically, there are double battles, there are triple battles, and then they made this Horde Battle for Generation 6. So it's essentially a triple battle, except it's 5-on-1. And these guys are all extremely low level, so we can just use Surf. Surf is an AoE move, so it hits everybody, and we don't have to worry about it. If you don't have a spread move like Surf for this battle, it's actually one of the most like hilarious battles you'll ever do. All of those Puchienas have Sand Attack, so they can lower your accuracy. All of them have Roar, so they can force you out of battle. And it's just kind of awful. I'm going to go ahead and heal up Marshtomp here, and I'm going to take a quick save. And I'm going to grab this. This is normally not a required item to grab, but it's worth grabbing for safety reasons. So another Sharpedo for us to deal with. This Sharpedo is a... We're likely going to die here. I will likely not live. Grass Knot is a bad range, and Sharpedo is faster than I am. So, yeah. So that's fine. I actually kind of well, no, I'm glad I healed the Marshtomp. So I can just finish it off like that. But now we're done with Aqua Hideout. And instead of wasting a revive, I'm actually going to do something that's a little bit unorthodox. But I like to do it. The thing I mentioned way earlier about how I'm not going to enter any Pokemon Centers until Victory Road. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and enter one in the next town over, Moss Deep. I'm gonna do something called a PC heal. So, little known feature of Pokemon games. If you deposit a Pokemon into the PC, it actually gets fully healed. And that includes both health and power points. It's essentially the same as taking a Pokemon Center. However, in a lot of cases, it's faster than taking a Pokemon Center. So this game is one of those places. I did a PC heal there. I wanted to heal both the Latios and the Marshtomp. Latios was dead, obviously. So I needed to heal, and then Marshtomp was at half health, which isn't that big of a deal. But it's better for this fight here if I'm at full health. And you'll see why. This fight is actually really cool. So this is the 7th gym. This is the Psychic Gym. Tate and Liza are the leaders. Liza and Tate, as this game says, even though that sounds just very wrong. And this is the double battle. So this is actually a double battle where we control 2 of the Pokemon. It's the first one of those. It's actually the only one of those that we're going to be doing in the run. And there's a mechanic that hasn't always existed in double battles. Like, this isn't a possibility in Gen 3. But it is possible here. We can actually use an X item into the other slot. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use Surf with Latias, and then on Marshtomp's turn, I'm going to use an X special attack on Latias. And so that will instantly give me a special attack boost, so my Surf is now more powerful. And Marshtomp went down, but we basically want Marshtomp to be at full health going into this battle, because if he's not, then that Psychic would get redirected. The Surf would kill the Marshtomp, and then the Psychic would get redirected into the Latias, causing me to take damage, and I want to be at full health coming out of this battle. So that was basically why I had to heal off the Marshtomp. It's a very minimal thing. It saves like a menu, but it's still kind of nice. Wish there were more double battle gyms. Yeah, double battles in general I wish were a bit more prevalent in Pokemon. Generation 8 did something really cool where the 8th gym is essentially a doubles gym. And I think that was a really neat addition to the game. And yeah, that's Tate and Liza. That is one of the worst fights in Generation 3. I'm not saying it would be easy, but it would be a lot better, probably, if you could use X items like we could in this game. Like, if I could, from the cast form in slot 2, use an X special attack into Marshtomp, or Swampert, I guess, it would probably be a bit better of a fight. Double weather, almost all Dragon Gym, exactly. Now, as is tradition in most Pokemon games, we've beaten 7 gyms, so now we get our giant plot dump. So we haven't talked a lot about the story in this game so far, but basically, Team Aqua wants to return the Earth to the sea, so it wants to basically turn all the land into water. I don't know how humans will live at that point, but I don't know if they care. And so Archie has the grand idea of awakening the primordial Pokemon Kyogre to basically force eternal rain and destroy the world. And so now we have to go stop him, basically. So Steven gives us Dive, yet another HM that's going to go on to Marshtomp. And now Marshtomp is fully stocked with HMs. We use Dive. We go down here into the seafloor cavern. This was why Archie was stealing a submarine. There's the submarine. Conveniently rebranded to look as though it was always Team Aqua's. This is our first instance of using Strength. These Strength puzzles aren't exactly difficult. Some of the Strength puzzles in the original were actually, quite thought-provoking. They're not terrible in this game. This Strength puzzle is incredibly difficult, as you can see. You just go around everything. I will say the C4 Cavern is a little bit more involved than I am making it seem. We go to a very small amount of it, but I'm gonna save before this battle, purely because I don't have anybody else in my party alive. This fight can go very wrong, depending on what everybody decides to do. So there is a Mightyena here, just like every other Mightyena, has a chance to do a lot of damage to us, also has a chance to do nothing to us, which would be swell. Never... And I got crit, too, so that's the worst thing that could happen. I'm actually going to heal that because the second Pokemon is a Muck. That's perfect. Okay. And Muck is generally a 2-shot, but with my special attack might be a 3-shot. And as you can see, Muck deals a lot of damage to us as well. Alright, it went down, thank God. Go ahead and heal that off. Alright. This puzzle's not difficult by any means, but the movement's kind of tricky. It's tough to bike into like a 1x1 like corridor. Like this right here going up is sometimes difficult. But we were able to get through. And then there's going to be a bit of dialogue when I enter here. I'm going to save before I move up. And this is the culmination of the Team Aqua battles. And this battle has a really unique gimmick that... Well, unique to this game, I should say. It's actually a pretty common strategy in a lot of Pokemon games, but this is really the only place in this game where it really works. So the AI, a lot of times the AI likes to do things like, oh, you're faster than I am, I would like to lower your speed, or, you know, something to that nature. And so the Mighty Anna that leads here really likes to use Scary Face. Scary Face would drop our speed by 2 stages, which is just like not something we can allow. In fact, we have to use an X speed because we are slower than at least one thing in this battle. So what we do instead is use a Guard Spec. Guard Spec is an item that'll shroud us with mist, and we will not get any stat drops while we are shrouded with mist. And as you can see, he likes to just spam Scary Face. Now there is one thing that can happen on this fight, which is he can decide to switch away from Scary Face and use Embargo. And Embargo is the move that will prevent you from using any items. And when that happens, things go bad. Luckily, it didn't happen here, so we were all set to finish our setup and go from there, but this fight can be dangerous, which is why I saved. This is also one of those fights, when I was originally learning this game a couple years ago, if you don't have that Guard Spec, like if you accidentally forgot to buy it, you are just in for a bad time. Like, it's not winnable. At least not with, like, our strategies. Because the main problem is, like, so if you get embargoed, you have to stop using your X items, and you need the X specials in order to KO the Muck and the Crobat. And if you're slower than the Crobat can use Haze, which will remove all of your stat ups, and it's just like it's a heck of a fight. It's actually not too bad if you get embargoed in Omega Ruby. You have a little bit less setup, and the Crobat's a bit slower, so you outspeed it more often. But all right. So we are basically done with fights for the next, like, 15 minutes or so. It's a lot of story stuff. We're going to end up catching the Kyogre. Spoiler alert. Which is why we grabbed the Master Ball. But if there's any sort of, like, donations or announcements or anything like that, this would be a perfect time.
Okay, well, we haven't had much in the way of donations, but I want to remind everyone of a few incentives that are coming up. Let me pull that up really quick. I got signed out of Tiltify. Whoops. It's loading, it's thinking, it's processing. Yeah, we are just a little under, we are like $25 away from the 5 hot dogs run it back incentive, which will be tonight. And we are we're really close to the Going Commando any percent incentive. A lot of money has been donated to it already. We're like $30 away. So, and that run is up next. And if you are interested in checking in on the kill or save the animals, right now we're going to save the animals. It's 27 zip. So, still plenty of time, but that is where we are with our incentives. So, get those donations in.
All right. All right, so basically Archie now sees the error of his ways. This torrential downpour is going to take over the world if we don't do something to stop it. I don't know. The story's weird. And for some reason it's now our job to stop it, so lots of story dump here. Like I mentioned earlier, we don't have any actual battles for like basically 10 to 12 minutes, except for the actual Kyogre battle. So you have to either catch or defeat the Kyogre. There is no way to progress without doing that, and so like there's a chance that if the Pokemon we were using before the Kyogre was like good, we could you know, just defeat the Kyogre instead and use whatever Pokemon we were using for the rest of the game. Alternate main categories will do that. Like you know, they can either defeat the Kyogre, they can take the little detour to get the Master Ball just so they don't have to worry about defeating it, or they can just defeat it. But we are going to be catching it. Latias is not even that well equipped for the section of the game that we use it for, but it's even worse for like the rest of the run. We have one more gym leader who's a water type gym leader with ice type moves. So that's bad for Latias. And then every single member of the Elite Four. The Elite Four obviously has 4 members. Every single one of those Elite Four members has a type that is super effective against Latias. Sydney is Dark type, Phoebe is Ghost, Glacia is Ice, and Drake is Dragon. Like, all of those are super effective against Latias, so it is probably the worst type combination to take into the Elite Four. The Elite Four in this game is really good. It's just, yeah, it's not a very good matchup for Latias. In Omega Ruby, we'd be getting Groudon here. Groudon is very good as well. I actually like Groudon better than Kyogre. The main problem Groudon has versus Kyogre, so Kyogre is going to have an ability called Drizzle. And what Drizzle does is it sets up rain for the next 5 turns as soon as it gets sent into battle. So it doesn't have to use Rain Dance or anything like that. It just its ability triggers rain. And that's really nice because Kyogre, water-type Pokemon, Rain, boosts water-type moves. Kyogre has Origin Pulse, has Surf, has some really good water-type moves. So it's really beneficial. Groudon, on the other hand, is a ground-type Pokemon with Drought. Drought will basically give Sunlight instead of Rain. And Sun boosts Fire-type moves. So Groudon does get Fire-type moves. It would learn... Like, it comes with Lava Plume, it learns things like Flamethrower or Overheat, but, like, it's not a Fire-type Pokemon itself, so it doesn't gain the same type attack bonus and the Sun boost like Kyogre does. So its ability ends up just sort of being a waste. It is useful in a handful of places, but for the most part, you're using Ground-type moves or, like, one-off coverage moves. Which are still very powerful. Like, Groudon's a extremely powerful physical attacker. It's just not quite as good as Kyogre. So you end up with the end game taking a little bit longer in Omega Ruby than Alpha Sapphire. Like, here, I got some time. So my Omega Ruby PB is about 55 minutes from Maxi 2, which is the fight I just did, to the end. And my Alpha Sapphire PB is less. It's like 53 or 54 minutes. So it's almost it's basically a full minute faster in this section. But the Latias section can be very fast. My PB, which is about an hour, or not an hour, wow. My PB, which is about a minute off of the world record in Alpha Sapphire, loses over, like, the best Latias section we know about, loses 4 minutes. So it's not just slower, it has the chance to be just as fast. It's just you're never going to get that, because it's so volatile and there's so much RNG involved with that whole section. Alright, so here's the Kyogre battle. We're just going to be Master Balling it, so there's no reason to save. Don't miss. Yeah. Like the Latias that we grabbed earlier, this is a legendary, so this is guaranteed to have 3 stats at 31 IV. Most important stats are special attack and speed. Attack literally doesn't matter, so minus attack is the best option. Defenses can be nice if they're high, but they aren't required. It's also kind of nice if your defense, not your special defense, but if your defense is low. Although, now that I think about it, not for this run. I'll be ending the run at a different time than normal. But I'll explain that when we get there. Oh my god, I caught it. First ball. Go team.
Wowee.
Alright. And I'm not going anywhere, but this is, if you are ever speedrunning this game, find yourself speedrunning it, This is the best time for a bathroom break in the run. This is about like a 2 minutes of literally hands off the 3DS. One of the problems with Pokemon games is it has a ton of cutscenes, but it's a lot of like quote-unquote interactive cutscenes. Things like I have to mash through text, or maybe I have to like move from story trigger to story trigger. There aren't very many places in Pokemon games where you can literally just take your hands off of the controller for a time, but this is one of those places, which is really nice. Alright. Whoops. Alright. So almost done with all of the story stuff. Such a long section. It's also kind of nice and fitting because it's like you have to sit here and think, and like you're basically contemplating this entire end game, where it's like, I hope my Kyogre is good. And by the time you actually see your Kyogre's stats, you don't have a lot of time to like react and make your choices.
It's the very Zen garden part of the run.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so... Alright. Everybody has to talk to us and congratulate us one by one, it looks like. Alright, so... this is going to be our first glimpse at our Kyogre. So like I said, special attack and speed are the most important. Swap it to the front. It's 31 IV HP, which is... Like I said, defenses are good. Alright, so we're going to teach Surf. That is okay. That's not terrible in either stat. It's also not 31 IV in either stat. So that is kind of dumb. This one is also neutral nature. So none of our stats are plus or minus nature. Hopped off the bike there by mistake. That wasn't any manip or anything. Alright, supposed to get on the bike there, but whatever. So this is the Wallace's gym. the infamous ice puzzles. Alright, not too bad. It is pretty easy to mess those up. The nice thing is this game does have diagonal movement, so there is a chance that you can save yourself if you mess it up. But if you do mess that up, you end up falling through to the bottom floor, and there's at least one optional that you have to fight to get out of the bottom. So that'll happen. This Love Disc has Swift Swim as its ability, which means it is double speed in rain. Because I have Drizzle, it's going to be rain. So that was just unfortunate. Calm Mind. Go ahead and heal this. This is basically the only fight that is better in Omega Ruby during this section. Origin Pulse is like Surf, except it's a bit more powerful and can miss, so that's like the big issue. But luckily we hit both of those. Origin Pulse is, I believe it's 85%. And then for anyone who's curious at home, my special attack is 27 or 28 IV. My speed is 20 or 22. So both are still pretty good. They're just not as good as they could be. Yeah, Origin Pulse is the legendary Muddy Water, precisely. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and teach Waterfall, our final HM, this time to the Latias, because Marshtomp has too many HMs on it. And then we will make our way to Victory Road. So one thing that I didn't mention, but we sort of glossed over, was on the Tate and Liza fight, way back, it feels like, forever ago, our Marshtomp was fainted. And he's still fainted. We haven't gotten like a free heal or anything like that since then. And that's actually pretty important. There are two, on the main path, in Victory Road, there are two double battles. And another little known fact in Pokemon is you can't start a double battle if you only have one Pokemon. And so we skipped a couple of double battles earlier, like way beginning of run, because we only had Mudkip. We didn't have a second Pokemon. But now that we do, in order to skip them, we actually have to make sure our party only has one Pokemon alive. So Victory Road requires Surf, which Kyogre does have. and Strength. And those are the only two HMs that it requires. So we keep our Marshtomp in our party, fainted, to use Strength while we, make our way through Victory Road. And because we only have one Pokemon alive, we can't start those double battles. So one of them would be avoidable if we did have something that was still alive. It's just a little bit of a detour. But the second double battle would be forced. Let's go around that spinner. Of course. That is pretty unlikely. Yeah, if you do heal it by mistake, you can basically just KO it on any of the battles here in Victory Road. This one's a good fight to do it on. And then potentially some others. Oh, come on, get off the corner. Movement in this game isn't that difficult, it's just easy to get a little lazy. Alright, so the Surf here is a range, but it's better. A lot of the decision making at this point is like, if Surf's a range, is it a better range than Origin Pulse is to even hit? So Origin Pulse is 85%, and damage ranges are a number out of 16. So if something is 14 out of 16 to hit to KO via a range, that means it's 87.5%. So that's typically the threshold, and so that was exactly the situation I was in there. Surf was 14 and 16 to KO that throw. Origin Pulse would have been 85% to even hit, period. So take care of that. Nah, I don't need that. I should have just grabbed it. With the amount of time I spent sitting there, there's a elixir there, but I have 2 Leppa berries, so I should be fine on PP. So this is double battle number 1. You could just surf around it instead. It's a little bit slower. Actually, it's really not even slower now that I look at it. The throw earlier in this stock, the biggest thing that they can do to us is use the move Endure, which means it'll live at 1 health. Luckily, we didn't get Endure on either. Not dangerous, it just wastes time. Alright, and now I'm going to heal because going into the next battle, I want to be at full health. Alright, last spinner in the game. Whoops, okay. All right, time for everyone's favorite 15-second loop of music. I kid. This battle's not too bad. This is one of the more kind of sucky battles for Groudon. Groudon is really good with his ground moves, but it doesn't have a whole lot for anything that isn't grounded, so it's not touching the ground. Basically flying types or things with levitate. The best that he has is a move called Smackdown, which will essentially force the Pokemon to be grounded. It'll smack it down onto the ground, and then the next turn it could use a ground move. And so the Altarias are kind of annoying because they also have a move called Cotton Guard, which will increase their defense by 3 stages. So even if you get the Smackdown off, like, there's no guarantee that the Earthquake you're about to use is going to kill, because now the Altaria's at like 2.5 times defense. It's absurd. Luckily, Kyogre can just go boom, Ice Beam, and they're dead. Alright, easy battle. Alright, so now we are officially into the Elite Four. So there's 5 more battles. And most of them aren't terrible. There are a few exceptions, but I'm going to be... The one that's really bad, I'm actually going to be doing an alternate strategy for, just to make it essentially a 100% win. Oh, that was the Repel text box. I was like, what the heck was that? Alright. Alright, so first up is Sydney. Sydney is the Dark type Elite Four member. And we are going to... This fight can be kind of dangerous. There are 2 Grass-type Pokemon in this fight. Shiftry and Cacturne. Cacturne isn't going to get a move off. Shiftry is. And the reason why Shiftry is going to get a move off is because it almost always goes for Fake Out turn 1. So we wouldn't be able to do anything anyways. So we're going to use that turn to set up a next special and sort of hope for the best. Ideally, we get Fake Out there. If not, then yeah. Actually, I'm sorry. I'm going to be X-speeding because my speed is a little bit low. Not X-specialing. So let's get rid of the Mightyena. The only thing Mightyena can really do there is Sucker Punch, so it's not a big deal. So X speed. Yeah, so we got the Leaf Blade, which is unfortunate. The Ice Beam off. Alright, so now here's Sharpedo. Sharpedo is a little bit scary because we are still in rain. It also has the move Aqua Jet, which is a priority move. So even though we are faster, it would get a chance to use it. and with us setting up the rain for it, basically. That is actually kind of bad. Took a little bit, but we got there. Alright, go ahead and heal going into this battle. So this is Phoebe. Phoebe has probably the worst fight in the Groudon Elite Four. In this Elite Four, it's not too bad. And basically the reason why this is kind of a bad fight in Omega Ruby versus Alpha Sapphire is the lead Pokemon Dusclops. Dusclops is an incredibly bulky Pokemon. Anyone who's done competitive Pokemon like VGC doubles knows how bulky Dusclops actually is. And this Dusclops typically will do one of two things to start the battle. It'll either use Confuse Ray, which getting confused is bad, as we've seen multiple times in this run, or it'll use Curse. And Curse is a move that when it's used by a Ghost-type Pokemon, will deplete half of its HP and put a Curse on the opponent, meaning the opponent will lose a fourth of its HP every turn. And getting Cursed is very slow, and for Groudon, it's actually very dangerous as well. Luckily, Kyogre, with the Mystic Water, increasing my water moves damage, the Rain, and being a water type, Surf can just KO the Dusclops, and we're all good. If I have really bad special attack, I have to go for Origin Pulse here, but basically a non-issue. I'm gonna go for a Origin Pulse here. Cool. It's technically safer to Calm Mind Surf there, but whatever. Fake Out is typically what we get here. But we didn't. Cool. This is going to be a gold Phoebe, almost certainly for me. All right. All right, so this is the fight that is the worst in the Elite Four for Alpha Sapphire. I'm going to go ahead and do a safer version of the fight, which basically will guarantee I don't die. But yeah, this fight can go really bad. Basically, the reason this fight can go so poorly is because we're such low level compared to the Elite Four. Even though we have a legendary, we're actually at a lower level. One-hit KO moves will work. So moves like Sheer Cold or Horn Drill would work. And the Wall Rain, which is typically what we would have to set up on, has Sheer Cold. So there's a chance that we start setting up on the Wall Rain and just die. It's a really low chance. It's like 30% to hit, 34% I think technically. So it's a very low chance, but it's still a chance. And this strategy here is about 20 seconds slower, but eliminates that chance altogether. The reason we don't want to set up on this Glalie is two reasons. The first is the Glalie has Light Screen, which will reduce the power of special moves. The second reason is because it has Hail. Hail is slow, because you get pelted with Hail every turn. Except for the fact, and also the Frost Lasses in this fight have Snow Cloak, meaning if you are in hail, then you it's harder to hit them. Like basically their evasion goes up. As you can see, he likes to spam hail, or she likes to spam hail here, and hail does nothing because I am Primal Kyogre now, which took about 10 seconds to revert to Primal Kyogre. But because I'm Primal Kyogre, I have Primordial Sea instead of Drizzle, and it is no longer possible for anybody else to change the weather. The only things that can change the weather are a Mega Rayquaza with Delta Stream, or a Primal Groudon with Desolate Land. And Glacier doesn't have either of those.
Can I jump in really quick with a quick donation?
Yeah, absolutely.
We have a $50 donation from Super Squidbird saying, "Greetings from Germany, longtime fan, first-time donator." Thank you, Squidbird. It is much appreciated. And with that, we met one of our incentives. We met the 5 hot dogs run it back incentive. So thank you, everybody, for getting that and for getting us over the $1,500 mark.
Absolutely. All right. All right, so we're gonna go into Drake here. Drake is, honestly, Drake is like the sole reason Kyogre is faster for the end game than Groudon is. Drake is the Dragon type gym leader and essentially requires 1 turn of setup, where for Groudon it requires anywhere from 2 to like 5, depending on what happens. And you also have to like teach an extra move almost exclusively for this fight. There is technically one other fight that you need the move for, but you basically need it for this fight. But yeah, Ice Beam just sort of goes really hard on this fight. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and X speed. If you have incredibly high speed, you don't have to X speed there, but it's pretty rare. But no damage going into Steven, most likely, which is awesome. These Flygons have Levitate, so Groudon doesn't have a good way to hit them, and Smackdown is not very effective against them because they are part ground. Yeah, a ground-type Pokemon that's levitating. That makes sense. But yeah, so you need to teach Strength to the Groudon. And you basically just need it for those 2 Flygons, and then there's 1 Pokemon on Steven that requires it as well. Alright, I made the exact same mistake, I think, recently. So I would have been healless going into Steven if I had done the correct moves. Which I actually still will be. Well, I have to go into my menu, so whatever. I wrote it wrong in my notes, is what happened. Alright, so that's the Elite Four down. 1 more fight, and then we are done. Which is exciting. So I'm going to go all the way up to the door. We're going to Lucky I had the extra Lepid Berry. Alright, so this fight has a very fast version of it, and it has a very slow version of it. The fast version, so there are two Pokemon in this fight that have Sturdy. So that's the ability we talked about earlier, like way earlier on Roxanne, where if a Pokemon has full health, it can't be knocked out. So a common strategy for dealing with a Sturdy Pokemon is to break Sturdy with a weaker move, and then KO it with your more powerful move. And the benefit of doing that is you don't knock it into heal range, basically. A lot of fights, like especially gym leaders and Elite Four members, have potions that they'll only use if they're at 25% health or lower. So what we're going to do here is we're going to Ice Beam the Skarmory. 10% of the time, this Ice Beam will freeze, and that is amazing. This Skarmory likes to use Toxic, which wastes time, and there's a chance you get Toxic twice just because of the way the timing of the fight works. So ideally we get a freeze. We did not, but we did not get Toxic turn 1, which is really good. We didn't get Toxic turn 2 either. Interesting. Or turn 3. I am confused. Alright, well... really weird, but whatever. Ice Beam. Alright, and then now we basically just have to pick the correct moves. This Aggron here is the other Pokemon with Sturdy. Again, ideally we freeze it. Not really required though. Stone Edge. That actually did a little bit more than I would have liked. So I'm going to heal just to play it safe. Okay. And the reason I say that did a little bit more than I would have liked is the final Pokemon, the Metagross, has Bullet Punch, which is a priority move that could have killed us. Actually, no, wait, never mind. I was thinking of the damage ranges in Omega Ruby, not in Alpha Sapphire. But so as I finish this battle, time is going to be after the end of the Hall of Fame sequence. So not at the end of this battle. Normally for leaderboard timing, we actually wait until the end of credits because there's technically one more battle to do. However, for marathon purposes, in my opinion, it's not really worth sitting around for 10 minutes just to get the official end timing, so we're going to end in more of a more intuitive end timing, so we're not keeping people around for no good reason. But yeah, that is it. We have beaten Pokemon Alpha Sapphire. A little bit more text here. It's like another minute. Yeah, overall, I think the run went pretty well. We had the Death to Norman, which wasted like 3 minutes. We had the Mudkip reset, which wastes time. I don't know how much exactly, probably like 30 seconds to 45 seconds. We died to Hideki once, that wastes about a minute. None of the Pokemon we got were good stat-wise. Like, we had, you know, things we had to worry about. I guess technically the Kyogre was fine stat-wise. It had low speed, but that was about it. But overall, I think this is a pretty good showcase of the run. So time will be on the fade to black after this. And come on. Time. All right. So I don't want to keep people too long. I just want to say a quick couple shout outs. Thank you very much to Speed Docs for accepting my run. I love this game. This is one of my favorite speed games, and one of the ones I put the most time into. So being able to show it off at any marathon is awesome. You know, big shout outs to the Pokemon speedrunning community in general. I know we have other Pokemon runs coming up in this marathon. I think Amoeba's doing Pokemon Emerald. There's a Pokemon Green tutorial. There's Snap. There's all sorts of stuff. And yeah, just, you know, like I said, thank you guys. Thanks to Speed Dogs for having me, and thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the run.
Thank you so much for participating. We always look forward to your Pokemon runs. They've become some of the most anticipated runs in the marathon. We're really happy to have you. Really happy that you submitted Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. And thank you to everybody who donated, helped push us over the $1,500 mark. But do not go anywhere. We have a lot of great speedruns coming up for the end of day 2. We're going to take a quick pause for the cause, pay some bills, and get a quick Twitch ad in here. But when we get back, we'll be hyping up what we have coming up next.
The confession letter Red Meat left behind. He looks upwards and torments himself with questions. Will Red